All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing the newest book by Brad Thor, Edge of Honor. This is book number 24 in his Scott Harvath thriller series, starring Scott Harvath, the ex-military man turned badass spy assassin, save the world type of James Bond character. And we're 24 books into it now. I have read all of the books. I actually have my entire Brad Thor book collection. We'll pan through the library over here. Got the entire Brad Thor book collection right there. So he is one of my favorite thriller writers, one of my favorite writers. I've read and reviewed about a half a dozen of his novels on the channel. Eventually we'll get all of them reviewed, even starting at the beginning, which the beginning book was, if you want to read the first book in the series of 24, it's The Lions of Lucerne. And I do have it signed by Brad Thor himself. When this book first came out, I went to one of Brad Thor's first ever book signings in Salt Lake City, Utah, the Sugar House Barnes & Noble. I think I was the only person there. Now he's gained a lot more fame and fortune since those days, but back then, and I've been through it with my own books. You go to a book signing, sometimes 100 people show up, sometimes just one guy shows up. Anyway, I was the one guy that showed up to this, and he spent some time talking to me. And I say this story before every Brad Thor review I do. I told him I was an aspiring writer. He gave me some writing advice, told me about his literary agency, Sanford J. Greenberger. And so then when I decided to get a literary agent, I approached that literary agency and did get a literary agent from Sanford J. Greenberger, and my books got published by Simon & Schuster. So I share a few things in common with Brad. I have the same literary agency and the same publisher, because these were done by Simon & Schuster too. But anyway, let's talk about, enough about me, let's talk about the book. Edge of Honor, book number 24, it's a political thriller. Brad Thor puts a lot of political points. He makes a lot of political points with the story, as one would expect with a political thriller. It's about Jack Harvath. I've kind of described this guy already. I mean, Harvath is the type of guy that never shies away from using torture to get what he wants from the bad guys in the story. And I'm going to read the couple of paragraphs from the jacket copy, then I'll get into what I think about the book. So after 6 months abroad, America's top spy returns to a new administration, a new set of global priorities, and a power struggle the likes of which the United States has never before experienced. Yeah, most of the books in this series are set kind of in exotic locations. This one, Brad Thor brings it back to America, back to Washington, D.C., for all of the action. Drawn into a web of deceit and deadly politics, Scott Harvath is thrust into a high-stakes conspiracy that could change the course of his history. A cabal of shadowy elites is maneuvering for control, and if they succeed, they will bring the country to its knees. When trust is fleeting and survival means making impossible decisions, Harvath finds himself on the precipice. The actions he takes will shape the future of America and might cost him everything he holds dear. Yeah, he saves the world in every single book. That's what thrillers are all about. Scott Harvath, our main character, he's back from 6 months of a honeymoon. He's got himself a new wife. If you've read the previous 23 books, he has, I won't spoil any of that, but he's had other relationships. But this one, now he's got a new wife. She's Scandinavian. Her name is Solvi. They come back to America from adventures abroad, and it's near the 4th of July, and all Scott Harvath wants is to show his new bride what the 4th of July is like in America, because it's his favorite holiday, and he just wants to eat a cheeseburger, an American cheeseburger. Trust me, I know the feeling. When I was in Scotland and England and Wales, I tried to get cheeseburgers at several places, and OMG, were they fucking disgusting. I don't know what they do to their hamburgers over there, but good Lord God Almighty, they are bad. And I just wanted an American cheeseburger. That's all I got to say about that. Don't want to bash on those countries too much. I think the cheeseburgers that I had in Germany and Italy, and they're all right. I think it's okay. But man, the English ones, UK ones, holy Christ. Anyway, back to the story. They're in D.C., of course. Scott Harvath is always in the middle of the action. Just like in Murder, She Wrote, everywhere that lady went, there was a murder. Everywhere that Scott Harvath goes, there's going to be an international crisis. Sure enough, he comes back to D.C. Immediately, he's a part of a bomb attack. A bomb goes off right in his vicinity. There's possible hostages. The Norwegian ambassador may or may not be a hostage or a good guy or a bad guy. And Solveig, his new wife, is Norwegian, Scandinavian, or whatever. And she gets involved in all of this. She has reasons in her life that means that she's got to kind of help Scott solve this international crisis that involves the Secret Service, not only the Secret Service, but budgetary problems with the Secret Service, Russian spies, Russian cyber attacks, Russian disinformation, all of this stuff to spark a civil war within the U.S., the dangers of internet exposure and people just using the internet too much. What's it doing to our children? What's it doing to us as adults? I mean, I remember, I'm addicted to, social media. I don't know if I'm addicted. I look at it quite a bit. I have a YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? Is this good or bad that everybody's online all the time? Turns out people spend like 6 hours online every day, whether it's for their job or combination of their job and their leisure time, or some people just for 6 hours on TikTok, just video after video after video. I've found myself doing that. It's not healthy. But all of this combined is what the thriller is about. And in the line here where it says a secret cabal of elites is trying to manipulate everybody in the world into strife and discontent. That's kind of the plot of the book and what happens and things like that. I won't get into it any more than that. But I really enjoyed this thriller. I do like the exotic locations. One of the reasons I read thrillers by Brad Thor and Mark Greaney and Jack Carr and Robert Ludlum and John le Carré and Nelson DeMille, who gets a shout out in this book, by the way. It's because of the exotic locations. I've traveled to quite a few places in the world based off of what I've read in thriller novels. I've also traveled to Washington, D.C. I've been there. Not based off of a thriller novel, but it was all right to see Scott Harvath just come back and be in his hometown of Washington, D.C. in the Virginia area. And you get to learn a lot about the sort of the architecture and different things that are going on in D.C. and the different kind of houses and where some of the elites live. So it's got a lot of information, and Brad Thor always packs in, relevant, pertinent, I don't know if that's a word. Relevant, pertinent information, or a little, there's a lot to learn. Read thriller novels, you're going to learn a lot about the world, a lot about conspiracy theories. This was another big plot point of this. Anyway, Edge of Honor, super, super good book. Another outstanding thriller by Brad Thor. And I suggest you read all of them, starting with The Lions of Lucerne. Oh, here's a picture of him 25 years ago, and the picture of him today. The guy didn't age a bit. He's like Ralph Macchio from The Karate Kid. He just stays the same. Anyway, that's my review of that.